라면 한번 같이 먹자. 다음에 밥 먹어요. 아침에 밥 먹어요. 네?
처음에 겨울을 한 거 자체가 따로
그게 원인데.
내 인생의 실수 목적 만들어서 밖에 없어. 원래
얼마 되는지 알아? 네가 자꾸 뒤로 이렇게 못 빠진 거야. 오르막길을 올 때 네가 자꾸 뒤로 하니까 계속 굴려가지고. 그래서 그래. 아 귀여워. 근데 내가 우리 사골 때려서 딱 왔는데 네가 딱 주저앉더니
So the last time we were discussing about stakeholder management. So we discussed about the stakeholders and our mutual stakeholders. So we said the first step is to identify who our stakeholders are and what their claims are, what they want. And then the second step is identifying our mutual stakeholders and then improving the ability or capability of our mutual stakeholders. So what about if they have some competing demands? Means that some stakeholder wants something and another stakeholder wants something else, which is in competition or conflict. So we have some steps that we can take. So firstly, we don't ignore any group, right? We're not going to ignore anybody. We're going to take some action. We don't make an either-or situation. Do you understand either or? Either or. Either I do this or you do that, right? So we can try to help both a little bit, at least. So next thing we do is prioritize. Do you understand prioritize? Do you prioritize things?
No.
Yes.
So for time management, we can prioritize our time. So a very common way of doing time management is urgent and important. Make a box here and we make urgent and important. Okay, urgent and not important. Not urgent and important. Not urgent and not important. So which kind of task are we going to do first? Urgent and important. We'll do this one first. What task will we do next?
Urgent, not.
Urgent and not important. Anybody disagree? Not urgent and important, right? It depends. But most people's problem with time management is they do this one. Urgent and not important. Then do they ever get time to do this important task? No, because they're always doing the urgent task, even though it's not important, right? It's called like firefighting. Do you understand firefighting?
Yes.
Just go around putting out different fires, then in the end you don't get the important work done. So the point is sometimes you have to cut out this one, because it's not important, right? Even if it's urgent, you have to eliminate this kind of task and instead do the important task sometimes, right? It may be you have enough time, then you can do this one. If you don't have enough time, then it's better to do the important task. It's more important. This one, you're going to have to say no to people. Not urgent and not important. Maybe you can't do this task. So this is prioritizing time. Okay? So I'm just explaining this. It's generally useful and also it explains to prioritize. Other people just simply make a list. 1, 2, 3 things to do list. Right? Things to do list. So for example, on Monday my wife asked me to collect her dry cleaning or to bring her shoes to the shoe repair shop, right? So I tell her, sorry, I ask her, how important is it? How urgent is it? Right? Then she says, I need it by tomorrow. And then I say, I don't think so. I don't think you need them by tomorrow. Then she gets angry. Yes, I want them by tomorrow. Then I say, no, I don't think you need them by tomorrow. I think next week is okay. So I think it's not important, right? She thinks it's urgent, but so I tell her, no, sorry, I'll do it on Wednesday or Thursday, not today. Because today I have more important things to do. Then my wife gets angry. But anyway, I have to stand up to my wife, because if I don't, she can bully me. So I just explain this kind of way. I tell her, sorry, but I manage my time like this, so if you let me know how important it is and how urgent it is, then I can decide whether I'm going to do that or not. And then she says, no, you have to do what I say. When I say, it doesn't matter, right? Then I say, no, sorry. Okay? So that's just a story about prioritizing. So people prioritize in different ways. So in this case, we're going to prioritize for value production and competitive advantage for our company. So we have a choice, right? We have our shareholders want something or our employee wants something. So for example, our shareholders want more profit. What do our employees want? More pay, right? Are they conflicting? If I pay my employees more, will my shareholders have less profit?
Yes.
In the short term? Yes, right? So, first of all, I look at the short-term advantage and then the long-term. And I have to think about the value production for my company and competitive advantage. So I have to think, look at the situation and say, is the salary too low? If I don't pay my workers, are they going to leave and go to another company? Okay? Then that could be bad for my company in the long term. Alright? Then what about my shareholders? They're like my boss. So if my boss doesn't make enough profit, then maybe they're going to sell their stocks, right? Stock price will go down and the company will be in trouble. So I have to try to prioritize them. Which one is better in the short term, which one is better in the long term? Then the next one is important. I have to think creatively. Can you think creatively? Are you good at thinking creatively? No. So we have to think creatively. Maybe we can find a solution that keeps both people happy. Creative solution. And we can meet the claim and develop capabilities. So maybe we can offer our employees they can take some extra course, right, for updating their skill. We can explain to the shareholder, if the employees take this course, they can do the job better. So I think we can increase their salary a little bit. So we have to think creatively. Do you understand benchmarking?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Copy.
Is copy the right word?
Copy the right things.
Maybe we could use copy, but we don't like to use copy. That's why we use the word benchmarking, right? So we look at the other companies in the industry. What are they doing well? Who's the best company at doing this? And then we can compare ourselves to them, and maybe we can improve ourselves. If you go into the real life, then you can find that companies want you to do this. Okay? So when I started my job before, they told me, why don't you go and look at what the other company is doing? And I thought, no, I shouldn't really do that, because I want to make my own plan and make my own thing. So I was a little bit arrogant as a young worker, right? I thought that, oh, maybe I can make a better idea than what's already there, because I'm smarter than those people, right? But the older, more experienced people, they will tell you, no, you need to do some benchmarking, right? First you need to go and look, what is the other people doing, okay? Then after you see what the other people are doing, then you can have your own idea and add or improve, right? A common phrase you can hear here is, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Do you understand to reinvent the wheel? So my boss told me, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Do you understand this phrase? What do you think that means?
I think you don't have to create things again, you just can be inspired by other companies or their doing.
Okay.
That's how I understand it.
Yes, so in the old days the wheel was a great invention, right? 6,000 years ago. Before people had the wheel, it was a hard time. So somebody invented the wheel. Do I have to say, I can see them using the wheel. Do I have to say, I think I can find a better way to transport things? Or can I just use the wheel? Which makes more sense? You see somebody using a wheel, you also use a wheel. Or you try to think yourself, how can I make a better way for transport? Which is better? Just use the wheel. Can you find a better way than the wheel? Not really, right? We're still using the wheel today. So sometimes we could be wasting our time trying to find some. We can, using the benchmarking means looking at the other companies, what are they doing? That can help us to think creatively, right? Once we get a base, then we can think creatively. Then establish processes to ensure continual improvement. So this means that we make some system in the company that we're always improving. Like, for example, some feedback. So we ask our employees every 6 months. We meet our employees, we talk to our employees, are they happy, right? We ask them about the company and so on. Then we can always try to improve the situation with the employees. So we made a process. Process is talking to our employee every 6 months. So this stakeholder management also has some criticism. So they say that it's not very easily measurable. So the stakeholder and meeting all our stakeholder claims, it's not mathematical. If we look at just making a profit, that's mathematical. We can say profit increased by 10% compared to last year. So we're doing a better job this year than last year, right? But stakeholder management, we don't have any very clear measurable thing, right? Which is called a measurable corporate objective function. So in that, when we don't have very clear measurements, people can use some favoritism. So, for example, the manager likes the workers, so he gives the workers very high salary. And the owners don't get any profit, okay? So, counter-argument to this, we can make some new performance metrics, so we'll see later. Okay, we can try to measure these kind of things. The next criticisms, all stakeholders must be treated equally. So we said here, when we have competing stakeholders' demands, we have to prioritize which is the more important one, right? And choose the give more on this side. Then think creatively. So anyway, the counter argument is we're not ignoring anybody. We're still doing something small for everybody. But we are just looking at the stakeholder claim, which are better for the company, which give more value to the company. So another one is criticism. Stakeholder management requires democratic forms of corporate governance. So we're going to talk about corporate governance later. Corporate governance means the board of directors, right? And how do they manage the managers? So how do the shareholders, how do the owners supervise the managers? Mainly through the AGM, annual general meeting, and they appoint a board of directors, which is some people, very skilled people, whose job is to watch the managers for the shareholders, right? If you're the owner of the company, do you have time to check on the managers all the time? No, you're doing your own job, right? And there's so many owners, so many stockholders. So the one stockholder has no incentive to check the company. So they pay some people to check for the managers. They are called the board of directors. So this is kind of corporate governance. We'll talk about it more later. So to summarize, managers have to do what is right, what is in the benefit of their company and society. In the neoclassical model, which was popular maybe earlier than maybe in the 70s and 80s, right? Managers should just focus on profit. There are many companies who also use this idea today, right? Many people who have this thinking, like Morgan Friedman, that if the company focuses on profit, the other things will fall into place. But it's not general, okay? Generally, this is accepted as too narrow because it's just thinking in the short term and it's risky. We saw the case of Ford Pinto where people can get hurt if we just think about profit too much. Okay? So the stakeholder management model is these days accepted as a much better model. So we meet our stakeholder claims, develop their capabilities, and we are socially and environmentally responsible. So we discussed these three questions in the last class. So discuss the last question with your partner. So basically, if there's a conflict or competing demand between two stakeholders, we just discussed. So you can download this on the website, right? So,
이거 아니에요?
제일 최고
맞아.
투스가 이랬어.
Check your name.
이미 기억하고 시작을
Okay, so what do you guys think when we have conflict? What should we do? Can you help?
We have to
Prioritize the claims, yes.
Potential for short-term, competitive advantage and long-term.
Okay, so prioritize. Then,
We have to that's it.
are you going to help both people, or are you going to ignore one person and choose one person only to help?
I have to think creatively, so
Mm.
I have to consider both of them.
Okay, so we're not going to ignore completely anybody, right? We are going to think creatively about how to make a solution. Okay. So here we can see, again, this is on the Harvard Business website, which I gave you the link. So if you want to read, you can buy this chapter. Okay. Here we can see the shareholders, competitors, suppliers, governments, customers, right? So competitors are also a stakeholder in our company. They have an interest in what happens. They have their own claim. What kind of claim do competitors have? What do you think? What kind of claim would the competitors have on the company? Can anybody tell me?
Price.
Price? Yeah, we don't. What about the price? What claim would they have about the price?
Low price.
They want me to make a low price? Are you sure? My competitors don't really want me to have a low price. Maybe a fair price, right? They would ask for a fair price. So they would ask that we don't commit any fraud or deception, kind of thing. I'll just like you to open this in Reader in order to turn the page around. So here we can see our different stakeholders, their type of claim and their potential for value creation. So what kind of things do our shareholders want? They want fair return on investment. They want transparency. Do you understand transparency?
Yes.
They want truthful financial reporting. So when we tell them about the profits, it's very truthful, right? They want us to keep the law, and they want a democratic governance, not just the CEO deciding everything, right? Employees want respect, fair wages, equal treatment, non-discrimination, healthy conditions, meaningful work. Do you understand meaningful work? Sometimes in the company they don't have enough work, so they just send the employee to an office to do nothing really. Tell them, anyway, I'll give you your salary. Right? So we don't want that. We want our work to be meaningful, to be participating. What do our customers want? Quality products, safe products, honest advertising, social responsibility, and so on. So how does this help us to get value? It's going to help us later if we have competing demands. So where do we get value here? If we do well with our shareholders, then we get more investment, right? So we get more investment. Our cost of capital goes down. It's easier for us to get, cheaper for us to get money, okay? What about our workers? They get more productive, more quality from our workers, okay? We can keep top talent. Companies are quite interested in retaining their employees and the good employees, especially the CEOs and so on, right? The top employees, and they give them large bonuses. The reason is that it makes a difference. It makes a difference, especially if you have a more top-down type of organization structure, like in the military. A good leader makes a really big difference. If you look at history, there are so many cases of where this very small army beat the very large army, simply because they had a strong leader who was very good at motivating the troops, right? Very positive, had a very good strategy or a very good plan, right? And they managed, by using some strategy or plan, to win against an army which was much bigger. So companies want to have this kind of employees. Having a skilled employee makes a difference. Okay? You can win. If your employees are more skilled, then you can win against even the bigger company or the worst situation. So we want to retain and attract the best employees to our company. So we can see that's one reason why today the CEO's salary is so high, right? Companies think that the leader is very important. Who is the CEO or the CFO? Almost like, I don't know if you know in the history Firus. Pyrrhus was a famous general from Greece, and he was famous because he won almost all of his battles. He was a really excellent general. So every city at that time in ancient Greece or in Italy, they wanted Pyrrhus to help them, right? Because they would win the war if Pyrrhus helped them. He hardly ever lost a battle because of his strategy and his plan. So we can see that he wasn't very good at maintaining cities or running cities. He was very good at winning battles. So we can see that these days the companies are the same. They want to get the top CEO to their company, and that's going to help them, right? So down here for our customers, clearly customers vote with their checkbook. Do you understand vote with your checkbook? Checkbook, you write the check. So customers won't buy your product if you're not keeping them happy, right? We can see the case of Nike and the child labour. People stopped buying Nike. Or Nestle had a problem with their baby infant formula. Or Ford had the problem with the Pinto, right? Then people just stop buying your product. So we can see for Johnson & Johnson, the customers are the most important stakeholder. So if we have competing stakeholder demands, and one of them is our customers, for example, our customers are demanding social responsibility, but it costs money to make an environmental system and do the environmental things, right? We have conflicting claim, and we need to prioritize. So many companies were starting to prioritize social responsibility above the profit, because if the customers stop buying their products, then they're in trouble. So let's continue here with suppliers. What do suppliers want? They want fair procurement practices. So they don't want us to bully them, like say for example BMW are very powerful because there's not many car companies, but there are a lot of small suppliers who make tires and spark plugs and so on. So BMW could bully them. They could say, you either reduce your price or I'm changing to another supplier. Right? That's not fair. Okay? Do you understand bully?
Yes.
Gear up, hada. Is that right? Okay, then pay them on time. Give them a fair lead time. Don't tell them just 1 week before. Hey, I need tires for next week. Okay? Help them with their technology and knowledge investment. We already discussed about Toyota helping their suppliers. So what does this contribute to? Lean manufacturing. Lean manufacturing is the same as just-on-time production, right? So our suppliers can manufacture more quickly. Their inventory comes in and out better. They are more responsive to the customers. Okay? There's a more positive atmosphere. Communities. What do they want? They want jobs. Communities want jobs. They want philanthropy. They want us to give money to the sports teams, local sports teams and so on, right? McDonald's is famous for giving money to the local sports team in different countries, right? Maybe they will buy the top for the kids' sports team or something in the local community where they are. Corporate social responsibility, environmental responsibility. So sometimes they're not sure about which they want more, economic development or environmental responsibility. For example, China in the 80s, the US government allowed, they didn't mind that the high polluting industry from the US went to China in the 80s. Even though they lost jobs, in the US they were concerned about the environment. So even the president said, it's okay, so that kind of company, like steel producing company, it's okay if that company goes to China. The pollution comes out of the US and goes to China. Okay? Do you think that's nice or not nice? Not nice? What about creating jobs in China and developing the economy in China? China wanted these companies to go there because they wanted to get jobs and develop their economy. Okay? Yes?
It was a short-term solution from them. They didn't think about long-term, like how it will end up.
Okay, so nowadays China has a pollution problem, right?
Yep.
With the water and the air, especially in Beijing or some cities. the air pollution can be higher. But, so China nowadays is worried more about, getting more worried about environmental responsibility. Okay? So these companies are moving on, some companies are moving on to Vietnam and Cambodia. Okay? Why? Because Vietnam and Cambodia want to develop their economy. This is the most important thing for them at the moment, to develop their economy. So if you go to Hanoi in Vietnam, the pollution is very high, right? So what do you think about that? Is that fair, that some high polluting industry goes to Vietnam, but they develop their economy?
No.
No.
Hmm?
No.
Don't think it's fair?
Yes.
Why not?
Economy, environment is better important
Hmm?
than economy.
Okay. Yes?
No, but there's like two sides of it, because then people have no money to like eat and to survive. So there is like no perfect solution in this case.
Okay. So what these countries, so what they want, or what China's idea was, first of all, let's do this and get our income up to a certain level, right? Develop to a certain level, and then we can change our industry from this manufacturing, high polluting industry to services or different research and development, right? So these days China is trying to move a little bit from manufacturing to research and development, and manufacturing is moving to countries with a very low cost of labor. Okay? Because labor is very important for manufacturing, labor cost. They want the lowest cost of labor. So China's labor cost is going up these days. So just communities have different types of claim. It depends on the community, what claim they have on the company. So if we do well for the communities, we have good public and media relations, good public-private relationships with the government. Our people might stay in our company, right? Do you prefer to work for a cigarette company or an NGO which helps blind people? Right? So people prefer to work for a company which is doing good for their community, generally, right? Then governments, we should keep the law and help the environment. So we improve our reputation and relationship with the government. Competitors, mainly they want fair play. So we're not doing any fraud or that kind of thing. Okay? And if we have a better relationship with our competitors, this can also help. So we can see in this table, we can get an idea about what kind of, this is general, right? We're learning a framework. But if you take any business, like the university, right? You cannot do the same, apply this to any business, right? The suppliers for the university. We want, if the suppliers are happier, then we can get things on time. Maybe the repair service is better, and so on. So we just take this kind of table and apply it to our company or our situation. So next is promoting the capabilities. So we have our mutual stakeholders. Who are our mutual stakeholders? Again, what kind of people are our mutual stakeholders? Suppliers, customers, right? Somebody that we can if they get better, then we get better too, right? Clear. So here are kind of things that we can do to help them, right? We can develop a shared affiliation in a higher cause. So we make every company has a vision and a mission. Okay? So is our mission just to make money, to make profit? Right? What's Google's mission or vision?
Don't be evil.
Don't be evil, right? One of their things is don't be evil. So it's like values we can share with company. So our people are more motivated because they know that our company is working, vision or mission has some value, right? So we have a kind of a higher cause. We promote physical and emotional well-being. in workplace safety. So help make a place where people can have innovation and free thought. So for example, the action, include our stakeholders in planning and brainstorming. So we can even ask our suppliers to help us with planning, brainstorming and so on, right? Then they feel more like they're involved. Promote the education we talked about is a clear one in the last class, right? For helping our mutual stakeholders. Foster constructive play. Okay, so play can lead to innovation. So find ways to combine activities and tasks with play and leisure activities. This can also help our workers to develop, right? So for example, if you look at the headquarters these days of Facebook or Google, have you ever seen any of the headquarters of Facebook or Google? Have you watched the movie The Internship? Have you watched the movie The Internship?
No.
So they have some pool table or rest room with very comfortable seats, right? Darts, exercise bikes, right? Whatever people want, they can put in the workplace. So the people can be creative. So they can combine something. They can be playing table tennis and talking about something. Okay? It's a free space where creative innovation is encouraged among our employees. So our employees are going to be happy about that, and we can also have obviously in the first place we hire employees who are self-motivated, who are not going to just spend all day playing table tennis or playing pool, right? They're just doing that when they have a break. So if you read all of this chapter, it can be quite challenging, but you can go in and just read the important parts, right? Like we discussed in the class, which part you see the similar part from the class, right? Or looking at the tables and so on. So this is principles for promoting learning and development. So we want to increase our employees' capabilities, right? So we want to promote learning and development in the company. So first, align learning with business. Align means put the two things together. So what kind of learning do we need for the business, this business that we're in? If we're working in IT, right, what kind of learning do we need to do? Maybe new technology, about some new technology or something. Keep up to date with the newest technologies, right? Then we have human resources departments, so we integrate our learning with the human resources department. Create a learning culture. So we want to create a culture in our company. We saw with Enron, what kind of culture did Enron have? Greedy culture, right? Obama also said some Wall Street banks have greedy culture. So we want to make a learning culture where from the top of the company, everybody is interested in learning in the company. Then we provide some learning options. So we give our staff some learning options. Like we give you a big subsidy. If you want to take a university course in the evening time, we can subsidize, pay for your fees. Or we give you an online course. We make our own online courses, that kind of thing. Okay? So manage the learning. People are not doing too many courses at one time, right? The course is related to what they're doing. And then, if they learn some new skill, try to bring this into the workplace, right? Help them to use their new skill in the workplace or in their job. So these are just steps for how to. We said one of the clearest ways to improve our mutual stakeholders' capabilities is educate our employees, right? So we're just looking in more detail about how to do that. So here we said the steps, right? Identify the mutual stakeholders. List the areas for capability development. Identify our stakeholders. List the claims. Then when we have our stakeholders, mutual stakeholders, how we can develop them, the claims of our stakeholders, which we just saw, then we can prioritize them. Okay? Some of these are conflicting. So prioritize them about long-term success of the company. And then take action. Don't ignore any stakeholders. Does this sound like a lot of work? Okay, anyway, we need somebody in our company to do this. Right? List all our stakeholders, like make these kind of tables, make priorities, and then decide. A very important part is taking action. So often, biggest mistake of meetings, people meet together and they discuss something, but they don't discuss the action they're going to take. They make a decision, yes, okay, we agree, let's help our employees. But that's not action, right? They need to make a specific action, like you are going to write an online course and put up on the internet by next week for our employees. Okay? So we can see by these figures and graphs about the stakeholder management. Okay? So the first assignment that we're going to do is going to be to our first team assignment will be looking at the company, okay, and making this kind of thing for a company. Okay, so we'll do this in a team. So we'll look at examples of the company and how did this company improve the stakeholders' capabilities, and then how did this add to the long-term success. Okay. So I have a Microsoft Word document with this assignment, which I'll put up on the website, right? So you can look at in detail after the class or at home, right? But basically you need to just look at the company's stakeholders and from the real life find an example by searching. Have you done much research in English on the internet? Are you good at doing internet research? Yeah. Yes. So we already gave an example of Toyota in the class. Toyota helps their supplier to learn just-in-time production. Okay, that's one example. So I want you to find some real-life example like this about how the stakeholders, our mutual stakeholders' capability was improved by the company, and then how did this add to the long-term value, right? So just by next class, next Tuesday, you can tell me group, okay? Otherwise I'll make the group random, or the team randomly. So I think I said it was 1 foreign student and 3 Korean students together in one group, right? So can the foreign students put up their hands, just to be clear? How many do we have today? The 4 international students. You're from China, right? Put up your hand. So maybe we're missing 1 student today. So we'll have 4. We have 20 students. So we'll have 5 groups. So maybe there's 1 group with no foreign student, right? But the other 4 groups with 1 foreign student. Okay. So then let's finish there for today.
한 명 외국인 넣고 한국 사람 한 명 넣어서
이걸 팀을 바로 올리는 지금?
아니요 다음 주에 말해줘요.
다음 주까지?
나도 버리고 배랑
아니 배랑 내 거보다 이미 틀렸지.
배랑 외국인이잖아.
나 배랑 말지 못해놨어. 내가 절대로 연습
맛있다. 지금 내신 과제 있는 거 아니에요?
지금 과제